Good evening, I'm Farhana Sheikh. ASEAN and China deepen ties amid global tensions, and ANWR says tariff rates not final after meeting US top diplomat Rubio. Stay tuned for more on AWANI International. China and ASEAN have reaffirmed their economic cooperation at the ASEAN Foreign Ministers Summit earlier today. Both sides have completed negotiations on the China-ASEAN Free Trade Agreement version 3.0, with the protocol expected to be signed later this year. Foreign Minister Datuk Seri Mohamad Hassan said this agreement will help strengthen economic cooperation and resilience between China and ASEAN, especially during these challenging times. On the issue of South China Sea, Mohamad said ASEAN is confident in concluding the Code of Conduct in the not-too-distant future, calling for parties in the meantime to exercise prudence. He also praised China's readiness to sign and ratify the Southeast Asia Nuclear Weapon Free Zone Treaty, a key step in non-proliferation efforts. Now, the summit came amid renewed concerns over US trade tariffs and growing US-China tensions. US President Donald Trump has announced levies of 25% to 40% on 8 Southeast Asian countries despite efforts to negotiate lower rates. The 25% tariff rate on Malaysia is not final, and there is still 1 month to negotiate for lower rates with the United States, says Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. Now, the Prime Minister raises the tariff issue during a courtesy call from US Secretary of State Marco Rubio earlier today at the sidelines of the ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting. Now, Anwar added that Malaysia is one of US key trading partners in the Southeast Asia, and for that, its views will be considered by the US. Rubio also stressed that ASEAN and the Indo-Pacific is a focal point of US foreign policy and that it has no intention of abandoning its ASEAN partners. Besides Anwar, Rubio also met with Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov amid growing US frustration over the ongoing war in Ukraine. Rubio arrived in Kuala Lumpur on Thursday for his maiden trip to Asia as Washington's top diplomat. His visit came as US President Donald Trump intensifies his trade war, threatening punitive tariffs on more than 20 countries. We have more Trump's tariffs after the break.
Check to clear. This is Gakpo. Great turn! Glass, how do you respond?
Nak gandakan potensi perniagaan anda? Boleh dengan Biz One Rewards. Pelbagai sokongan pemasaran. Seperti Sports Watch Party, Food Review,
Memang sedap.
promosi di TV dan radio. Ubah potensi perniagaan anda sekarang.
Welcome back. Earlier today, US President Donald Trump has issued a new round of tariff letters to 8 additional countries. Tariffs ranging from 20% to 50% will be charged on goods imported from those countries starting August 1st.
According to the letters, 30% tariffs will be imposed on Libya, Iraq, Algeria, and Sri Lanka, 25% on Brunei and Moldova, and 20% on the Philippines. Later in the day, Trump announced a 50% tariffs will be charged on goods from Brazil. In Trump's letter to Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, he cited Brazil's attacks on free elections and Americans' free speech rights. On Monday, the Trump administration sent the first batch of tariff letters to 14 countries, imposing tariffs ranging from 25% to 40%.
US President Donald Trump also announced a 50% tariff on copper imports starting August 1st. Trump says the move comes after receiving a national security assessment and is aimed at boosting domestic production.
On his Truth Social post, Trump said copper is essential for semiconductors, aircraft, ships, ammunition, data centers, batteries, radar, missile defense, and hypersonic weapons. He also said that it is second most used material by the U.S. Department of Defense. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the nation relies on imports for nearly half its refined copper, importing 810,000 metric tons in 2024. More than two-thirds of U.S. copper is mined in Arizona, where development of a major mine planned by Rio Tinto and BHP has been stalled for over a decade.
Right, we are still unpacking Trump's tariffs and its implications, especially within this region. Now, many in Asia, especially within ASEAN, are left wondering how to interpret this move. Is maintaining neutrality still a viable option amid escalating US-China trade tensions? And what does it mean for smaller trade-dependent economies in the region? Now, here to help us is Professor Chandra Mugan Tangavelu, head from the Jeffrey Chan Institute of Southeast Asia. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, let's tackle the first question, which is how should Asia, especially ASEAN, interpret this move right now? Is neutrality no longer an option in US-China trade tensions, considering the new development?
Well, neutrality is always the main focal point and the only equilibrium we have. The reason is what Trump has done is created a higher level of uncertainty and higher level of risk in the global trade itself, which basically means that you can't move to the right or the left, which means that neutrality and defensive position is the right way, and coalition is still the right way to manage the impact of differential tariff rates and using weaponizing trade and tariff as a means to achieve the other objective that doesn't come into the space or in terms of trade, in how we do business and so on and so forth. It creates a lot of uncertainty, higher level of risk, and added another institutional risk in terms of how we can conduct business with the US itself. And it's not just trade between countries, but also the multinationals have to unpack the real intention of what Trump is trying to do and incorporating the institutional risk into their future investment decisions itself. That makes it very difficult to actually put a premium exactly what Trump is trying to do. So neutrality is still the right way to go. That will mitigate many things businesses want to do. Think of the future, think of the 5-year plan and a medium to long-term plan, and keep within that plan will be the right strategy and not to fall into this trap, which Trump is actually trying to put a lot of traps and a lot of booby traps around, which basically means that 3 months ago it was 10%, and 3 months after it's 20%, and then he will increase the rate in not a very constructive, in a very clear manner. That's what the rule-based, market-based trading regime needs. Is weaponizing trade, and then in some way he's also legalizing rent-seeking, which basically means no country knows what the other deals that the other country has made, which is against the MFN principle itself. Right. So the question is neutrality, yes. ASEAN centrality and neutrality is important. ASEAN should still keep the focal point of the 85% trade that will give the baseline for them, and strengthen that base is very critical for them. And right. Fairly, the other 25% of 20% trade with US, fairly they have to mitigate the risk as much as possible.
Right, Prof. We talk about, especially if we zone into this region, what are the likely spillover effects for small trade-dependent economies?
For small open economy, you need a rule-based trading regime to actually maintain the rule and to engage larger economies itself. So you don't have that rule, and as I mentioned before, you will end up the corner solution. It's not just the corner solution in trade, but a lot of other geopolitical issues will be incorporated in that element. That's what I meant by legitimizing and legalizing rent-seeking. And when you go to that corner, you're going to see a lot of uncertainty and a lot of risk. So for small open economies, still the rule-based and market-based trading regime is the right way to go. And the way ASEAN centrality and ASEAN is built its focal points in terms of rule-based, market-based, and WTO principle is the key, which is actually 80% of our total trade. So fairly, we need to find a substitute for the next 20%. So it's a short-run scramble to manage the mitigation effects. But fairly, from a multinational point of view, there will be less decoupling effects because it's very difficult to understand how Trump is going to change his baseline tariff in next 3 to 4 months.
Right. Thank you so much, Prof, for your analysis. We're looking forward to more developments on this. Thank you so much. Right. Now, earlier today, we also met with Australia's Foreign Minister Penny Wong at the ISIS Malaysia Forum on Australia and Southeast Asia. During her address, Wong calls for Southeast Asia and Australia to work together in shaping the region's future. She stresses that ASEAN should not underestimate its collective power as it navigates the uncertainties and challenges currently facing the region.
President Prabowo said in May, for 5 decades, ASEAN has stood as a pillar of peace, stability and prosperity in Southeast Asia. Let us not always underestimate our strength and our power. I say again, let us not underestimate our strength and our power. This moment in our history is an opportunity for Australia and Southeast Asia to recognise that the stability of our region can only be secured through collective responsibility, that we must build the region we want, not just accept the region we face. And we do this by integrating our economies further, we do this by building our resilience, we do this by taking forward our defence and security cooperation. We do this by growing our development partnerships and by investing more in our efforts to prevent conflict, because none of our nations can achieve the future we want on our own.
According to Wong, the economies of ASEAN collectively make up Australia's second largest trading partner, with Canberra implementing $500 million worth of initiatives in Southeast Asia announced at last year's ASEAN-Australia Special Summit. Australia's Southeast Asia economic strategy, she said, aimed to deepen cooperation in areas such as energy security, climate resilience, education and more. During tumultuous times, Wong also reaffirmed Australia's commitment to a rule-based order and that Canberra will continue to invest in regional partnerships and defend the international norms that underpin peace and prosperity.
We know that we must shape the region we want, a region that is open and peaceful, and we know that to do this will demand an unprecedented application of our national power working across all arms of statecraft. For Australia, we will keep prioritising this region, the Indo-Pacific, where our interests are most at stake. We will keep investing not only in our traditional relationships, but also in a more diverse set of partnerships. We will keep working to uphold the international rules and norms that underpin our prosperity. This is Australia's objective and it is our intent. To prioritise our region, our relationships and the rules that protect us so we can uphold our values and deliver on our interests. And that is why I am here in KL to take part in the East Asia Summit Foreign Ministers meetings and the ASEAN Regional Forum to find collective solutions to our toughest shared challenges.
Wong also highlighted growing concerns over Chinese vessel activities in the South China Sea, emphasizing the need for regional stability and a balance of power. She said while no country, including the United States, seeks military confrontation with China, it's crucial to ensure that no single power dominates and that all countries are free from coercion.
And that is why we are realistic about China's objectives in changing the regional balance of power. And it is clear in China's public political discourse. And this realism also informs how we have stabilised our relationship with China and how we strengthen our partnerships with the rest of the region. None of us, including the United States, seeks military confrontation with China in the South China Sea, the East China Sea, or across the Taiwan Strait. What we do seek is a balance of power, where no country dominates and no country is dominated.
That wraps up AWANI International. Stay tuned for reports on the rivalry strategies and the shifts behind the power affairs driving the new global order. Visit international.astroawani.com for more and be sure to follow our social media accounts at Power Affairs. I'm Farhana Sheikh. Thank you for watching and good night.